This is Nissan in-game live, 14-6. The Eagles trail the San Francisco 49ers. Ron Jaworski, I'm Michael Barkann. Jaws, it only feels like 24-6. It's 14-6. And I guess the first question is, what the heck happened in the transition between first quarter to second quarter? Because the Eagles were all over them. Aggressive defensive play, up and down the field offensively, and then poof, gone.
All right, calm down, Michael.
No, it's
calm down, Michael.
Jaws, this is not going in the right direction.
Well, we sat here the last 2 weeks. We were down 10 points and abysmal in the first half. Hey, I think we're way ahead right now. It's only 14-6, only down 8 going in the second half. But the way we started out, it just seemed like it was going to be a really, really good day for the Eagles offense. Went right down the field. But I've always said this, for as long as I've been around this game, if you get in the red zone and kick field goals and not score touchdowns, and the other team gets in the red zone and scores touchdowns and doesn't get field goals, you're in trouble. That's exactly what has happened. The Eagles wasted 2 great drives in that first quarter, going right down the field, kicking 2 field goals. The Niners who didn't pay a drop in the first quarter, they had minus -6 yards in the first quarter, had like 167 in the second quarter. Their 2 drives, they converted to touchdowns, hence 14-6. You must. And the Eagles were the best red zone team coming into this game in the NFL. They just haven't performed that way right now. So, am I concerned? Absolutely concerned. But I think we make the corrections, go up back in the second half like we've been playing. My biggest concern is the Niners get the ball to start the second half. And their last 2 drives have been just phenomenal drives. And our defense looked a little bit worn out. It looked like San Francisco had made the adjustments to our defense after that first quarter.
My biggest concern, or one of them, is the quarterback comparison, and we did that during the pregame program, and we saw that Jalen Hurts was 11 of 16, 120 yards in the first quarter for a 90.6 passer rating. Brock Purdy was 0 for 4 with a 39.6 rating. You look at Purdy now, he's 9 of 15, 118 yards, 107 rating. He's got a touchdown pass, and Hurts is just going down. 78.4 rating. Sometimes, Jaws, and you would know best, it looks like he's just holding the ball too long. And I'm thinking he's only got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They can't be open. What's going on? Where, he had to dirt the ball on one play. What's happening?
Michael, your vision was right. He was holding on to the football. And no question about it. The sacks, the pressures. He had ample time to go through his reading progression and get the ball to a check down someone late. He's holding on to the football. That's not going to sit well with his offensive lineman or the offensive line coach, Jeff Stout. There's a timing and a rhythm to the passing game, which you have to have. That first quarter looked really, really sharp, looked really in a rhythm. I love the game plan in the first quarter. I felt we ended up the pregame show. I said, come on, slinging it. Yeah. He had a tremendous first quarter. But the NFL is a game of adjustments. And obviously the 49ers made a great adjustment in the second half. They contained the passing game. They contained the running game. The Eagles couldn't move the football in that second quarter. Now the adjustment has to go the other way. Does Nick Sirianni, does Brian Johnson, do they get in there halftime and say, okay, here's what the Niners are doing now, and here's how we counter that. It's punch, counter punch. Now it's our turn to counter punch.
It's 14-6. It's still, I guess, technically a one-score game. They need the 2-point conversion to tie the thing up. I don't know if they'd even go with that, depending on what the situation was. But when you look at the Eagles' defense against Brock Purdy, against Christian McCaffrey, against Brandon Ayuk, who is a beast to bring down at just 6 feet, but he is thick. And then obviously Deebo Samuel. And I'm seeing that pile push further and further down the field. Do they have the talent to stop these guys?
I think it's going to be difficult. I think the puzzle was solved by the Niners in the second half. Kyle Shanahan got it going. He got what they like to do, dictate matchups. The rhythm started to come for them on offense, the motions, all the things they do. And they don't run a lot of full field reads. They like to get the ball to Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and they'll design plays to get the ball to those guys. So that puts enormous pressure on the defense to kind of figure out who they're trying to get the ball to. Because Brock Purdy is not a progression reader. He'd like to go 1 and 2 and get the balls out. They don't want him standing back there taking sacks, having pressure around him. But right now he's found his rhythm. He found it in that second quarter. Now I'm sure he's feeling they probably feel pretty good at halftime right now because they solved the puzzle in the second half of the Eagles defense and the Eagles offense. I already said they got Jalen to hold on to the football. That tells me one thing. Now they're not getting open downfield.
Yeah.
So Jalen's a good anticipation thrower. He'll get the ball out of his hand. And the Niners made the proper adjustments. I think they started taking away A.J. Brown, who was catching balls in those quick slants. And they adjusted. They got tighter coverage and say, hey, okay, you're going to have to throw the ball down the field, Jalen, deep down the field. So that's the adjustment that the 49ers made.
And when you look at a guy by the name of Christian McCaffrey, who didn't have a touch in the first quarter.
He only had 6 plays.
Yeah, you're right. Only had 6 plays. And then you look at him in the second quarter, he's averaging for the season almost 5 yards per carry. He's only got 4.6, so he's close enough. Yeah. And he got all that after having nothing in the first quarter. He's up to 4.6 yards every time he carries the football.
The 49ers offense is all about window dressing. That's what it's all about. They give you different looks on every single play of formation. They give you a different look with the motion. They're trying to read the mail of the defense. What are you going to do this motion? What are you going to do that motion? Then by the time, the second quarter comes around, they figured out what you're doing. And that's what they're very, very good at. They have a plethora of wide receiver weapons, but I've said it. I mean, we talked about it in the pregame show. The 49ers offense runs through Christian McCaffrey. He's a very good receiver. He can line him out in the slot as a wide receiver. But when he starts running downhill, he had a couple of runs for loss early in the game. Didn't stop him from giving him the football. They stayed with it. They got him the football and started getting those downhill runs going. He's gonna hurt the Eagles in the pass game in the second half because everybody gets hurt by him in the pass game at some time or another in the course of the game.
We know the stat: the Eagles are 5-0 when trailing at halftime this season. Do they have the wherewithal? Do they have the talent? Do they have the play calling ability that they can come back and likely will come back and take care of this one? This would be, I would think, the greatest win of the season since San Francisco has been loaded for bear since last January. They've won 3 straight, and they want to come here and put a beat down on Philadelphia.
Yeah, all the above. Everything you mentioned, I think they have to come through in the second half. But we knew going into this game, this is a good San Francisco 49er football team. In fact, in the course of our pregame show, I said, I believe the team that wins this game will win the Super Bowl. These are the 2 most talented teams in the league. Now, don't disrespect their, Miami and Detroit and Kansas City and all that, but the roster compared to roster, these are 2 really good football teams. So, we're going to see how they punch and counterpunch in the second half.
Bold statement to make, Jaws. The Eagles need a bold comeback in the second half. And
it's not like we can't do it, Michael.
No.
Old school for us.
I think they can do it. I think it's going to be very difficult to do it. And you just look at the eye test tells you that this San Francisco team is a handful and then some. So we'll see what happens, but rest assured, we've got Eagles post-game live for you when the clock hits 0 after the third quarter right here. It's Barrett Brooks giving you his thoughts on what's going on up to that point, and we'll see you on the post-game show. Go Birds.
We will be fired up no matter what happens.
You know that.